Hello, this screencast for Global 9 Honors is for the week of November 30th through December 4th. This will be the first part of two screencasts. This one will focus mainly on our test this week, and the second screencast will focus on our homework assignment. So with that, let's take a look at Schoology, and we'll review a couple of things. So I am in week 13, and you'll see that the self-paced materials will be located here, along with the screencasting video. If you click into this piece here, Unit 1 through 3 review materials, you'll see that there's just a basic idea of what we've done so far, which is really going through the Paleolithic era into the Neolithic era. And of course, the development of agriculture is really going to be this whole piece to mankind developing complex institutions around governance, belief systems, and social structures. So, but how we got there was really just a very short period of time, and only over the last, say, 8 to 10,000 years have we been farming and living a sedentary style of life versus a very long period of history of the Paleolithic time. So along with this, what we're going to do is just let you know that there are some materials that we're going to offer here in this Schoology page, but it's not the only things that you should be studying. You should also be taking a look at the different instructional packets that you've received through New Visions and different assignments that we've done in class. There are some Quizlet cards below, which we will call non-content words. In other words, they may not be specifically to social studies. It could be anywhere, but we do know that words like these are found in our test this week and will be helpful in your own vocabulary context. So I'll just skip down to that to show you. So here is Quizlet, and whenever we offer this, you'll see that it is a way for you to click on the words and skip ahead to different versions of those words. But also what you could do is choose different study modes. So if I click down in the bottom right hand corner here, you'll see that we could also do a matching game or a test or flashcard. So we want to encourage you to use some of these other pieces and launch a little game for yourself so that you can kind of go through some of the different words and vocabulary. There are about 25 words in this Quizlet deck that you can use as many times as you want. Our test will actually be the following. So there is a review guide that I have attached at the bottom of this that our teachers, we all worked on, going through a couple of the basic topics, and I'll show you that in a moment. But the test itself, it will be a timed test. You'll only have the class period to work on it, and as soon as you begin in Schoology, it will time out at the end of the session. There will not be a typical vocabulary matching like you've seen on maybe some previous quizzes, where you would just do vocabulary and definitions. So even though there are Quizlet cards here, we will not have a standard vocabulary matching section, nor will we have any extended writing. So there will only be multiple choice stimulus-based questions. And we will have reviewed this a little bit in class, where it's typically a document or a passage, a map, a chart, something that is being offered by the test makers that you'll have to review and take a look at, use your own background knowledge, and to answer the question. And a lot of times what happens is that there'll be, probably 2 to 3 to even 4 questions about one document. So while we offer the document for each question, okay, so I'll just read this. During the test, you'll notice that the document is provided with each question. If a passage is for multiple questions, the test will indicate the question that the passages apply to. In this case, the document is the same and it's repeated for each question. Now, sometimes it might seem a little bit redundant because you'll see the same thing 2 or 3 times in a row, and you should know that it's the same document, but the questions are changing at the bottom. A unique thing to Schoology for this particular test, we have decided to allow some extra test tools. So you can flag a question. In other words, maybe you want to review it and you just flag it. So use your toolbar on Schoology. You'll see when you enter the test to tap the flag, and you could take a look at that a little bit later. It's a reminder for yourself. You can even take notes on questions. So if you want to think about a couple of vocabulary words or some things that are totally true or not true, whatever test taking skills you want to try to implement, you could actually type in some notes per question. And you could also eliminate choices. So we've offered that as something. Generally on a paper test, you'll have A, B, C, and D, and you might scratch out 2 or 3 choices because you know that they're totally irrelevant and it doesn't apply. If that's the case, you could use that Schoology tool to eliminate the choice. So let's take a look at one question together just to show you the stimulus-based question, how it's going to appear. So you'll see at the top, it's telling me that this question is going to refer to 1 and 2. And here's the passage. And then here's the question. You'll see the font changes size a little bit. But as you go through and you click on each of the points here, you'll be able to move on. And if I went to the next question, because it's 1 and 2, it'll say the exact same thing up at the top, and then I'll see down at the bottom number 2 with whatever question that happens to be. So that's a little bit about the stimulus-based question. Let me review back to our Schoology page where there's a note sheet. Here your teachers will be reviewing this in class on your day 1 this week, your lesson 1. And we're going to try to go through the basic ideas about the transition from paleo to neo. We'll talk about the migration, the kinds of tools, and the reliance on fire, and the different things that have developed in the early stages. Developing power and governance, and how rulers emerge and how they gain power and what they do to show that they're in power, whether it is legal codes or architecture or particular things that show what the culture and beliefs and the values that the people have that may come there. You can see there's going to be some things about Hammurabi, the role of social classes. So it's not just about strict rules. It's about how people in different classes were treated amongst each other, and if they were from different ranks, hierarchies, we would see how that's going to shift as well. There's a couple of things that we also noticed about archaeology and anthropology, so you'll want to know the basics between those two different things. Page 2 is a list of vocabulary words. Some of these words you're probably very familiar with and may not need a tremendous amount of help on, but we do know that we flagged them as teachers thinking that these might be challenged. All of these words are in the Quizlet deck, so feel free to take a look at that as many times as you want and make games out of it as earlier suggested. So this is part 1 of our screencasting this week. I hope that it's helpful, and good luck on your test.